ancient books it's written that a warrior will draw a burning sword from the fire. And that sword shall be Lightbringer. Your sword awaits you. For you, we offer up this girl, that you may cleanse her with your fire, and that its light may lead our way. You are the son of fire. I am sworn to serve you.
Then serve me.
When I return, you will understand. You will receive what is yours by right.
If I fall, don't bring me back.
I'll have to try.
I'm ordering you not to bring me back.
I am not your servant, Jon Snow.
You're in my camp. I'm the commander.
If the Lord didn't want me to bring you back, how did I bring you back? I have no power. Only what he gives me, and he gave me you.
Give you back your homes, or restore your dead to life. But perhaps I can give you justice in the name of our king.
Hey everyone. If you spent a second looking at popular Game of Thrones theories, you've probably heard about the most important sword in the world of Westeros, aptly named Lightbringer. Lightbringer is the sword of Azor Ahai, a legendary hero who is prophesied to fight the Great Other. Lightbringer is thought to be a sword made of living fire. It is also known as the Red Sword of Heroes. A little background from the books explain that at one point in history, Westeros was overcome by the Long Night. This is the time when the others, or in the show, the White Walkers, were fought by the first men to end the Long Night, concluding with the battle referred to the Battle of the Dawn. Remember that name because it comes up again. To fight the darkness, Azor Ahai needed to forge a hero's sword. He labored for 30 days and 30 nights until it was done. However, when he went to temper it in the water, the sword actually broke, so he started over. The second time, it took 50 days and 50 nights to make the sword, all the more better than before. Tempering it this time, Azor Ahai captured a lion and drove the sword into its heart, but once again the steel shattered. Forging the blade a third and final time, he worked for 100 days and 100 nights until it was finished. Then he called for his wife, Nissa, and asked her to bare her breast. He drove his sword into her breast, combining her soul with the steel of the sword, finally completing Lightbringer. This is why Melisandre had Stannis do some pretty terrible things, because she truly believed he was Azor Ahai reborn. It has been foretold that when the stars bleed and the cold winds blow, a warrior shall draw from the fire a burning sword, and that sword will be Lightbringer. The one who draws it will be Azor Ahai reborn. With the new War for the Dawn quickly approaching, Lightbringer is pretty important and necessary to decipher who the true Azor Ahai is. For a super long time, Melisandre assured Stannis Baratheon that he was the reborn hero, but in A Dance with Dragons, George R.R. Martin makes it clear that Melisandre is almost positively mistaken about that premise. She keeps asking the Lord of Light to show her Azor Ahai, expecting for him to show her Stannis, but instead he keeps showing her someone else entirely, Jon Snow. So after the season 6 finale, we know Jon is half Targaryen, and we know he's going to continue rallying the North for the war against the White Walkers. It's also pretty plausible that he needs to team up with his aunt Daenerys to ensure that they put an end to the Long Night. With that being said, some people believe Jon's sword Longclaw is Lightbringer. After all, we know from Sam's research that Dragonsteel is just as capable of killing White Walkers as Dragonglass, and it is highly likely that the Dragonsteel and the Valyrian steel are pretty much the same. Valyrian steel swords are going to be critical in fighting off the White Walkers when they come south. Sam just stole his father's Valyrian steel sword before heading to the Citadel, Sam will also definitely be reading up on how to create more dragon glass as well for the Army of the Dead threat. But all in all, I do not think that Longclaw is Lightbringer. If Jon Snow is indeed Azor Ahai, he may acquire another sword, and that one will be Lightbringer. So we now know of Lightbringer's prophetic history. It's also theorized by many that the sword isn't necessarily a sword, but it could actually be a location, could be a group of people, or even an individual person. But the one theory that I think is most correct is Lightbringer is the ancestral family sword of House Dane in Dorne. Remember when I said not to forget the Battle of the Dawn? Well, it just so happens the Dane family's sword is named Dawn. Now, House Dane is a very, very old family, ancient even, being descended from the first man, and every great sword needs a good name, right? But why name it Dawn? What is the association? Let's think about it. Is it named after the conclusion of the long night? Also, the bearer of the sword within the Dane family has to earn the right to carry it. That person is also known as the Sword of Mourning. And Dawn makes it into the story at the Tower of Joy. The story of what happened there is probably the most important one of the entire Song of Ice and Fire series. And we just broke the surface of what truly took place. Ned Stark and Howland Reed arrive there searching for Lyanna Stark along with a few of their comrades when they run into Sir Arthur Dayne, whom was widely known as one of the most chivalrous men living and known as the Sword of Mourning because he carried the sword Dawn. Long story short, Ned's group fights with Arthur Dayne, and the only survivors are Ned Stark and Howland Reed. Dayne is killed and Dawn is supposedly picked up by the Honorable Eddard Stark, who presumably passes through Starfall before returning to Winterfell to return the sword to House Dayne. I would like to take a second to read what the world of Ice and Fire says about Dawn. The Danes of Starfall are one of the most ancient houses in the Seven Kingdoms, though their family largely rests on their ancestral sword called Dawn, and the men who wielded it. Its origins are lost to legend, but it seems likely that the Danes have carried it for thousands of years. Those who have had the honor of examining it says it looks like no Valyrian steel they know, being pale as milk glass, but in all other respects it seems to share the properties of Valyrian blades, being incredibly strong and sharp. Though many houses have their heirloom swords, they mostly pass the blades down from lord to lord. Some, such as the Corbrays have done, may lend the blade to a son or brother for his lifetime, only to have it returned to the lord. But that is not the way of House Dane. The wielder of Dawn is always given the title of Sword of the Morning, and only a knight of House Dane who is deemed worthy can carry it. For this reason, the Swords of Mourning are all famous throughout the Seven Kingdoms. There are boys who secretly dream of being a son of Starfall, so they might claim the storied sword and its title. Most famous of all was Sir Arthur Dayne, the deadliest of King Aerys II's Kingsguard, who defeated the Kingswood Brotherhood and won renown in every tourney and melee. He died nobly with his sworn brothers at the end of Robert's Rebellion, after Lord Eddard Stark was said to have killed him in single combat. Lord Stark then returned Dawn to Starfall, and to Sir Arthur's kin as a sign of respect. I wanted to read this because it shows that something about this blade is very significant. I really feel like George R.R. Martin is once again spelling something out in plain text. There is various ideas of what Lightbringer is and if it is in fact a sword. The show has obviously gone in different directions due to limited space to put book material. Some things have to escalate quickly to get through the story. If Lightbringer is actually the sword Dawn, it would make sense. It's a sword that has been passed down for thousands of years, and it's so old it can't accurately be tracked to its origin. The sword was only wielded by the most skilled of knights from House Dane, and with Jon Snow being the king in the north and arguably the truest heir to the throne, it would be amazing if he comes across the sword and uses it to defeat the White Walkers. Remember, if we see in the show that someone finds an ancient sword, don't forget to look closely and see if it is Dawn. We got to see what it looked like in the Tower of Joy flashbacks in Season 6, so use that to compare.